Welcome to the One Percenters podcast, where small changes make big impact. I'm your host, Tim Buxton, coming to you from Combermary country on the Gold Coast. Together with my co-host, Mario Books, we'll be exploring the unseen edges of peak performance to guide athletes, teams, organizations, and leaders across various disciplines to unlock their exponential edge. So let's dive in and find that 1% that changes everything. Well, here we are. We've made it.
Yes.
1%ers.
Finally.
Mario?
Christmas is here and it's come early, I can tell you.
Yes, it is. Okay, well, we have been talking about the 1%ers, and this podcast is part of it. What I think the best way to start this off, we get to talk about you today, which is great. We're going to intro you a bit of your background. But to get things started, what is the 1%ers? We've been talking about it a lot. When you think of the 1%er mindset, what is it?
It's the search of that extra little piece that you will find on your own as individual, depending on what you are, or independent of what you are. You need to find that everybody can go to 90, 95, 99% performing whatever they do. It's that little piece when nobody's watching, going from great to elite, or going from great to elite to Olympic champion, or whatever it is, or the best CEO in the world. Those little things, no one's watching, but you're doing them.
Mate, perfect. That is, it's the invisible edge that we're all looking for, right? There's a lot of information. There's a lot in elite performance, whether it's in athletics, whether it's in business, whether it's in life, relationships, whatever it is that makes people exceptional, elite performers in what they do. Usually there is some invisible edge that makes them have an exponential impact. And it's, like you said, it's unique to each person. What I love is it's not just knowing what that is, it's the art of how to find what that is. And this search that you talked about, this expertise is something you and I are very passionate about. And we want to bring to you through this podcast, we want to bring to organizations and athletes and other high-performing individuals that capacity to unlock that 1%, which has that exponential impact. We need to know who you are, though, Mario. As co-host of the 1%ers, you have an incredible background as an engineer, managing multi-million-dollar projects around the world, where you're the guy that is responsible. The buck stops with you, leading large teams involved in customer service, as well as managing and executives and other people that are involved in engineering work around the world. I don't even want to attempt to discuss what it is that you do, but more recently, you've become an elite performance coach in your field of expertise as an athlete, which is ultra endurance or ultra marathon running. And for people who don't know what an ultra marathon, it's anything over a marathon, really, like 50 kilometers or more. But the kind of feats or distances that you regularly, you've done about 17 of these already, more so over 100 and 200 plus kilometers. And you've done 17 of them, and now you're running and pacing other people, coaching other athletes that are achieving these incredible feats. You didn't just go from engineer to ultra marathon runner and elite performance coach overnight. There was a moment, I know, in your life that everything changed. You weren't your fittest or healthiest. Can you take us back to that moment? I think that really unlocks, your journey and why you do what you do.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Great introduction. Yeah, I've installed a lot of machines in my time. I don't do that now. anymore. I have taken on a white collar role now, but I still go into certain places, and it's good to know that I know and I could help anyone. So it's good that the guys on the ground still know that although they've got a blue collar on and I've got a white collar, there's no difference. We both peel our sleeves back and then say, all right, let's get this show on the road here and that machine back running again. But I think, yeah, you're quite right with a lifestyle like I had while I was on the road. Yeah, it's not the healthiest, you're installing machinery all day and then in the evening you're quite tired. You don't feel like doing much, so usually drinking beer and having an unhealthy meal, and that over time. Like with everything, all the good things and the bad things over time, consistency is key if you really want to live an unhealthy life. If you do that consistently for 20 years, you'll look pretty old and bad. And I gained a lot of weight. So fast forward a little bit, my wife and I and our daughter, we were invited to a wedding in Switzerland. So my wife already had a dress. She looked great in it. I needed one now. I needed a suit. So we went to the suit shop. And yeah, we entered and I went straight to the left where the normal clothes are. And the lady came to me and she said, look, I'm sorry, but your size is kind of over there. And that already put me back a little bit. That was quite, I'm like, hold on, what do you mean? Am I that big? You don't realize how big you are. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So that got to me a little bit. And my wife just said, look, don't worry about it. Just get on with it, And I'm like, okay. And my daughter was in that shop as well, and I noticed there was a door, that led straight out to the road, and my daughter was running around. And suddenly she ran towards that door, and I looked at the door, and luckily it was shut and locked. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, if that door would have been open, she would have just run straight out, and I had no chance with my size and lethargy to even catch her. So for me, that was that flick of the switch moment where I'm like, you are kidding me here. Look at yourself, mate. You're a mess. You're no good to anybody. And I did put myself down a little bit, which is sometimes a good thing. If you want to make a change, you kind of look in the mirror and say, mate, that's not good enough for this world. You're not good enough as a husband or a father. That doesn't mean you need to do that every day, of course. I don't want people to get the wrong idea here. So anyway, I said to Sue, my wife, I says, we're off to Switzerland. Let's get this wedding done. When we come back, I'm going to make some changes. So I was really on the ground. I've never felt so bad in my whole life. I just looked at my daughter and gave her a quick cuddle. She didn't even know what was this about, and I said, look, this will never happen again. She didn't even know what I was talking about. So I was actually talking to myself with her in my arms, and I'm like, that's it. And I was actually pressing her to my heart, saying, this is it. So yeah, fast forward a few, 5-10 Ks later, I started running on a treadmill, bought my first running shoes. So this is about 16, 17 years ago now. And I transitioned into coaching because I just started to feel really good, lost a lot of weight, got fitter, stronger. I just said, that's it. I want other people to feel like this as well. Hence the reason I went into coaching. Plus, I also know there's a lot of noise out there, training programs and training plans. I'd rather have this personal holistic approach. So this is what I'm building now. This not just for runners, but for overall, lifestyle at work, stress at work, wellness at work, health at work, mindset, all that kind of stuff that goes with all this, especially when it goes into the longer distances. These 9.5 centimeters between the ears, they must be the strongest they can be. So working on that with people, yeah. That's it.
And that, mate, honestly, there is so much to unpack, but one of the things that really strikes out to me is this desire to be not only your best self for you, but then to not only be your best self for you, your family, but also for other people, and to help other people to experience the transformation you've experienced. I mean, I've been to your home and I've seen photos of you before, and I see the way that you live your life, your commitment to not only a healthy food and nutrition. You're obviously extremely active, but your relationships, you are such a generous soul, a great person, a champion of others. And I think a lot of that is a testament to who you are and the journey, obviously, that you've been on. And Healthetica coaching is now where you get to do a lot of that coaching, that holistic approach, nutrition. Is there something about now working with elite athletes? I mean, just this past weekend, you paced someone. So you ran about 85 kilometers coaching and running alongside pacing somebody who was running the Coast to Kosciuszko, which is a 250 something kilometer run from the coast of New South Wales and Eden all the way up to Australia's highest point, Kosciuszko mountain range. You do that stuff for a living to help other people now. What is it about that just is so exciting? Like, why are you so passionate about that? Why do you still do that stuff? It's one thing to do it for yourself and say, I achieved this. It's another thing to do it for somebody else on their journey. What is it that you love so much about it?
First and foremost, I've been very lucky that when I run these long races, I've always had people doing it for me. And I think as a pacer or a crew member, you need to understand what's going on. And then you can only then can you help people. Actually, this weekend coming, I'm going to do the same thing. But this is a runner that I'm coaching personally. And I've always said, look, I'll pace you. So I'm actually doing 2 weekends on the trot. I won't quite run as far with this guy, but it's the person I crewed and paced over the weekend. He's paced me. And this was just also, just a bit of a thank you, but we've always planned this. Sometimes I was injured and things like that. But I think the passion just comes from, I understand this is a sport that there's not millions of people who do this. There's not millions of people who understand what's going on. And you just want this person who signs up for such an adventure to finish. It takes a village, and yeah, the emotions you go through finishing something this huge. Yes, you run on your own 2 feet, of course. No one can run it for you, but having people around you makes it even more special. And I just want to be part of not someone's success, absolutely not, someone's emotions, how they go through this. Learn from them as well. The guy I paced is proper elite. He's not coached by myself, but it's more I wouldn't say mentoring role, but we do a lot of talking together. So we don't do physically just the running part together. What we do is much more than running, what we discuss. But we can take all these little snippets again. It goes back into 1%. Ooh, that's good. I can use that. That's a tool. It's about building this toolbox together. How do you get people to the finish line? Signing up for a 240-kilometer race and then being chosen means a lot. But then how are you going to get to the finish? And if I can help in any way, it's great. It's the best thing, Mate. And you get to run an ultra at the same time, which is great. Okay, you don't get a prize or anything, but it's awesome.
Well, I've been on the receiving end of your help. Not only your friendship, but just in October last month, you helped me get through the longest I've ever run in a week with very little sleep. The 150 challenge of 150 kilometers in a week with 150 minutes of sleep, which ended up being 120 minutes of sleep per day, so 2 hours of sleep. And I felt your presence. Not only did you get in the car, drive all the way up at your own expense, run with me early in the morning and late at night for several days. But like you said, it's more than just the technical. It is all about how you're journeying alongside somebody where you can actually see from different vantage points. And by actually getting the boots on and running with somebody, you get that ability to understand and unlock those moments, those key understandings that tell you about somebody. And as we wrap up our first episode, I think there's something around the 1%er. I think we can a nugget we can kind of drop, and I've kind of gained just from hearing you talk. And it's this ability to say you can't do this alone. if you want to be, and we're not going to talk a lot about being successful because to a lot of people that means different things.
Exactly.
We're going to talk about setting out to achieve what you have set out to achieve. And sometimes that isn't the end result. The end result comes when you take every single moment of that journey and you give, not only you don't try your best, you give and do your best. And you cannot do that alone. Just like you said, you crew, you pace, you do others because at some point someone helped you. And all of us listening have been on a journey and we've got goals and ambitions and places and dreams we want to go. Maybe it's a lifestyle we want to be able to say that we live. Maybe it's success in a team or getting the Olympics or winning a premiership cup with your team. You are not going to be able to get there alone. You are going to, and so sometimes that 1% is just acknowledging, I need someone's help. And it is, you have everything. You have all the components. It's all in you. You're the one that's going to achieve it. But you need to uplink. You need to find somebody in a particular area that has an edge that you don't have, and you're going to need help. It could be in your personal life. It could be in your professional life. It could be physically, mentally, emotionally. That's what we're passionate about. That's what we love to unlock and journey with people in their life and in the different ways you and I come at that. Can you speak to that as we finish up our first episode? What does asking for help and uplinking to expertise, how has that been an absolute game changer in your life?
Totally. You think, we're so stubborn and hard-headed at times, we think we can go it all on our own. And we can't. Sometimes we just have to kind of get the help, build a network. In life, you should have more than one network. You should have a network for this, a network for that, a network for this. And then you not pick and choose, but you pick what you need. And you've hit the nail on the head. I can actually not top this. Asking a coach or asking an expert in a certain little field might be the game changer. And that's a word we don't want to use again because that's old. But that's where that 1% comes from. That invisible edge, that extra bit. Just asking Tim Buxton says, mate, I'm struggling with this to be really successful in my eyes. My success is individual. I need your help. And you've exactly got that. That can be a 1%. Doesn't have to be a physical thing, doesn't have to be a tool, doesn't have to be a new football, doesn't have to be a new training regime. Can just be asking you and you have one sentence and that was it. That's all it needs. Asking for help is the invisible edge.
The invisible edge. I love that. And it's so, yeah, we need to wrap this up because I don't think there's much more that we can add, but I think it speaks to the humility it takes. It speaks to the curiosity it takes. So often we walk through life, especially if you've already achieved great things and if you're already at a high standard, because we're dealing and we're working, both of us, a lot with people that are great and at a high performing already. And we're talking about getting to that next level. You need to have humility, even if you have achieved, even if you're at that top. And that humility is the invisible edge that enables you to always find something new and find that from unexpected places. And so if you're willing to ask anybody, and not even just, going into a conversation, what can I learn from this person? What do they have to teach me? You just never know what you might uncover that will absolutely make a complete transformation through one quarter turn to what you're doing. So thanks for bringing that out and sharing that in your story, your life. We're going to hear a lot more about your incredible achievements, and also the achievements of the people that you get to work with on a daily, weekly basis through this podcast. I can't wait to get back in the recording studio for another episode.
Awesome.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you very much, Tim. Thanks for setting this up. This was good. Very good.
Brilliant. Well, we look forward to hearing from you. And back here, please send in any questions, anything that you might want us to talk about. We're on this journey with you. If there's any topics you have, please subscribe to us. Please share if this has been helpful for you and you know people that would be interested. Please share it along. We just want to help as many people as we can through this podcast, and look forward to being on this journey together. See everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Centers podcast. We're proud to be broadcasting from Kumbameri and Gadigal country and do honour the traditions and knowledge of the First Nations peoples. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe on Spotify and YouTube. And if you're feeling generous, why not leave us a review? Are you ready to find your edge? Well, you can connect with Mario or myself using the links in the show notes on Spotify, or better still, visit the 1%ers website. That's spelled www.theonep.com. And you can start unlocking your unlimited potential today. See you next time.